sizes of life, nature as it's misunderstood, things bigger and smaller, worlds contrasted, people in them, experience itself and that which assumes without question. The sky was bigger, the ground was stranger and more diverse. Put very simply, the world didn't feel as though a pyramid and mason's worth of conspiracy was what was merely a question. Life itself was a question, and so was time in the context of why itself inflicts if not asks what it is. That's a condensed description, but if you are the one reading, I think you understand in an intuitive sense, what about reality that is referring to. The problem was that not all generations and awarenesses were equipped to comprehend that. The thing about a shift in any perspective, even at its most individual, is that the ability to compensate for dissonancing is inconsistent and compensates poorly. At the same time, the capacities of introspective self-awareness at the time, emphasize inward elements. Either the recoil or the demonisms of what we see, all the same made the vacuums. What happens is grasping. When you understand what about that grasping has to do with what it is a mind is trying to describe, but for some reason does not know how to, but does anyways. You know burden and foresight. When one says give back my reality, violence has ensued from here. But time is what is in motion, and now is the result of yesterday, and we are by relation discontent anyways. More visibly, this is perhaps remembered as a sudden grasping at historicisms and identity reciprocated, among other subjects of collapse and insulation. Anti-science sentiment in the context of supernature would have been possessive. Neuroticness and self-righteousness in asking what wasn't true about a person and race and pretense in inspiring violence, at the hilting for their deaths, is any response we are obligated to tolerate. Between my generation and a younger one at least. And note that fundamentally the fact that people are dynamic in the ways that possesses the nature of being rather creative, and describing it at the moments of being amidst themselves was, let's face it, a primary focus of my concern with people. People's thoughts are diverse and multifaceted, yes, but I did not insinuate that I didn't care about the fact that we were self-seeking. We had to be that being with those qualities all the same. My own nature interprets human in moments of the varyingly contextual. Telling one who they are, is rather redundant. I've always understood that with contentment, believe it or not, you are always just a moment's worth of lesson in impressing upon a mind that is the multifaceted and by circumstantial state of mind, expression of deciding that anyways. Granted in what you are exploratory and arriving issues. Everything according to some, didn't have the capacity to say anything about what's worth understanding. By 2019, the strain of recoils and thought, had become commonplace, and exhausting. Mostly at lack of context and mirroring where it didn't have it. For youth, and a time come to impasse. The turning of an eyebrow-raising lesson about human asking who and what, introspection and unease, and an unrest was in motion. And it did resound. Seasick of the silence by Mother. Amongst an expressive time, it was a moment in pop culture where the sentiment articulated itself. The human fears more than it thinks. At matter, one could say it was itself, and truths not setting you free. If not fear of what it thought was me controlling them. But I don't want to hear what's inside of me, that was what reflects in the mental lives of that culture. As a result, it would not have its previous literacies available to its consciousness anymore. But the projectiveness still assumed its natural impulse as a youth from where it was. In synopsis, the wake of reality dissonance resulted in the compensating grasping and throwing its projectiveness onto reality in insecure and undercoherent ways, but pushing time around nonetheless. Vehement and emboldened. This is the essence of the epistemic wake.